before we part, there are a few people, very important people that we'd like to bring on stage, and and we can both show them our appreciation of their help, because they are the collaborators. Now, first, I'd like to call on stage Shrestha Mondal, Program Manager, Digital Initiatives at India Bioscience, and Science Communication Scholar, and fellow F1 fan. Yeah. And Momita Mazumdar, Program Manager, India Bioscience, and Srinidhi. Where's Srinidhi? I thought I saw him here. There you are. Come on stage. Kannada columnist and Secretary of E-Jnana Trust. Come. Yes. And they have been manning the booth outside and doing lots of interesting games and engagement services. Over to them.
Yes. So first of all, thank you to the SJAI team. They brought us on SJAI Engaged. You saw us right outside the auditorium. If you didn't, we do have a doubt, where did you make an entry or exit from, really? So up on the next slide, I would like to introduce the other two members who were part of, and thanks to the SJAI team, we had an active collaboration. I'm Shrestha, and she's Momita from India Bioscience, and that's Srinidhi from E-Jnana Trust. So thank you to the SJAI team for bringing us together to bring you this collaboration. And up next, if you interacted with us, you would know we took a pre-conference survey. We are just showing you who are the players, that's basically all of you, because we are talking about engagement. So why not do it in the fun game style? If you remember games from Mario, maybe the graphics might help you with that. So we did see an interesting age group distribution here. Mostly youngsters, if we say 25 to 34 years of age. And years of experience has a very interesting distribution as well. If you see, some are in 6 to 10 years, some are 11 to 15 years, and so forth. So definitely it was an interesting distribution throughout, and with the survey results, we really hope we'll share these once the conference gets over. If you're interested to gain the insights, please let us know. Drop us a mail, message, social medias everywhere. We'd love to be a part of it. So in case you still haven't taken up the survey, you can scan the QR code on the next slide and help us form some of these opinions where we talk about not just communicating in Indian languages about science, but also about using artificial intelligence to communicate smarter. So if you still haven't taken the survey, please help us, scan the QR code, and then you can later on fill the survey as well. So on the next slide, we'll then talk about what were the games and activities you saw over these 2 days. And we are still outside in case you want to reach us out. We had a community voices on the easel board, and there we were speaking voices from all of you. And then this, what you see here in Bertie's hand, is the comic we had, they translate the comic game, where, interestingly, we received 13 Indian languages on day 1. We received a mysterious 14th language. Okay, and I'll come to that a little bit later. On the next slide, let me first talk about the first thing that we actually gave you. The game with 2 levels, right? So we gave you 2 sheets, the level 1 and level 2. Level 1 was the icebreaker game. An icebreaker game, why we say so, is because we asked you to fill in a creative which was made by Momita, and you had to fill it in English and a language which you knew, but also to seek out someone amongst the delegates over here, speakers or even the organizing committee members, who knew a different Indian language than what you know. Why we did that is because we often have this bias. We restrict ourselves about communicating science using our creativity mostly in English. But we know so many more languages. India is a country with so many different languages, and if we don't use our faculties, we don't use our knowledge to just expand and a little bit more. That's why we had these games, and at level 2, if you don't find a human around, then technology is to your rescue. So you use Google Lens or Translate app and then translated one of the graphics which Srinidhi's good colleague made in terms of comics, and then you translated them and had it in your language. Right? So what we are also doing with these games is we are trying to deal with the bias that if you don't know a language, you feel like, I cannot read that. I cannot do anything about it. Now, just take out your phone, scan it, and boom, you have it in your own language or any other language you want. The only thing, the humans are still in the loop. Maybe ask around, communicate around, and see if that's actually accurate or not. Because in the survey also, we are still receiving responses that the accuracy needs to improve. So which is why, up next, we had this game on translating the comic. So 13 languages I told you, but what were these 13 languages? We had Bangla, we had Kashmiri, Hindi, Odia, Kannada, Telugu, Tamil, Bagheli from Chhattisgarh, Nepali, yes, we did have a Nepali delegate as well, Punjabi, Marathi, Gujarati, and Urdu. But I told you there was a 14th language as well. And I would want to show it over here. Someone actually filled science as a language. Now they wrote virology as a language, so she mentioned science in the bracket, and chemistry also. So for chemistry, here is solar samosas in this, and they wrote semaglutide, because if you consume these, so there are semaglutides in it. And that's why that also leaves us with a question. Do we consider science as a language or not? What exactly makes a language? We also go back with questions and insights, and we hope to bring them the next time we make and collate all of these responses that you gave us wonderfully. So a big round of applause for all of you. So 2 days, 2 themes. Why did we have only these 2 themes really? We had those because these were the 2 themes we had today in our workshop, the antimicrobial resistance and climate change. So we were also not just, randomly designing these, we were thoughtful with the program in the mind as well. And yes, this board is still outside. India Bioscience is doing an series of online discussions for communicating science in Indian languages. We have some of these insights from the first meeting. The second meeting is going to be organized online next week. So if you want to be a part of it, we want more and more people to join us because it's an online space and it's a safe space to discuss these things. So please write to us on hello@indiabioscience.org. But I won't leave you just with that. We were doing so much more on the engagement table, and that's where I'll pitch in my colleague Srinidhi to talk more about it.
Thank you. Ellarugu namaskara, that is I all English. So, I've been doing science communication in Kannada for almost 25 years now. But very recently I started, attending conferences, programs like this at a much larger level. So in most of such programs, I used to feel that, okay, we are kind of left out, or we feel like a little bit of, when I say we, it's like communicators that don't communicate either in English or sometimes in Hindi. Right? So I started feeling like we don't feel included, or this sounds a little distant to me, or we also do this, but why are we not presenting kind of thing. Last year, I had an opportunity to join SJAI conference at Pune, and that's when I realized that this is a different kind of conference where I could straight walk up to Shubhra and say, hey, why don't you consider this? And of course, she was kind enough to have an engagement with us. We discussed, and this year, similarly, when the entries were opened, I just sent out this one thing. Okay, let's talk about things that are being done in regional languages. Okay, the only condition was non-English. So we are doing so many things. I mean, taking example of Kannada, right? We are doing so many things. We are using generative AI tools to help us create more content. We are using simple automation techniques to bring out informative material. Releasing stuff on Creative Commons so that other languages can use and we can borrow from other languages. So that was the idea of this overall program. As part of the survey that Shrestha mentioned, we also had a question saying, hey guys, what are you doing, and can you please share some inputs with us? We got some really good inputs that we collected from outside of the survey as well, plus good friends here gave us good inputs from the survey. So all of that came together as this year's experience. I would say this was a really good experience for us standing on the other side of the table, and I'm sure it would be a good experience for you as well. And overall, talking on behalf of a non-English language, I'm really thankful to SJAI for making this happen. And I hope in this program and in many other programs, all languages of India come together and present a picture of the work that is being done across the country. Thank you so much.
So thank you everyone. Bouquets and brickbats always welcome. We are right here.
Thank you guys. I hope you are also digitizing the board because I don't want my pun to go unnoticed in the future. Yeah, excellent. Okay, next I'd like to call on stage the conference supporters. So, of course, our lovely host at Ahmedabad University, I would like to call Vivek. Yes, there you are. We have Vivek, who's the Associate Dean. Vivek Kanavde, please come on stage.
So thank you, and I hope you've all been, I guess I'm audible. I hope you've all been having a wonderful and productive time here.
Awesome.
Yesterday I met somebody from NCL who came here about a month and a half ago, and he said, "Here I am again." And I said, "This is a nice place to be." So I just start by talking about something that may be of interest to you because many of you come. Are journalists. So every year we interact. We interact with more than 3,000 young potential applicants, potential students. We spend a lot of time doing this because it's about half an hour with every young person. And there's a question that many of us ask. And we ask them the question, do you read a newspaper in any format? Print, online, computer, iPad, Kindle, screen, in any format, but do you read a newspaper? More than roughly 95 to 96% of them say no. Very small, these are all young people aged 16, 17 years. Then we ask them, and some of them, by the way, want to become IAS officers as a career aspiration. So without being knowledgeable about current affairs, without knowing what happened in the world yesterday, or 2 days ago, or last week, how do you then kind of get this information? And this is where we learned that a lot of information actually comes, as was pointed out earlier, 140 characters, or by talking with friends, or by apps like instructions. And so the attention span is very limited. So this is our first challenge at Ahmedabad University, is how do we take these young minds that are curious, that are engaged, and that are interested, to come to us, and then we kind of make them interested enough that they will go beyond reading the 140 characters. So we do a couple of things that I'll talk about. There's two things I'll talk about here. One is we have something called as a foundation, and that is that's a compulsory program for every incoming student. And it doesn't matter whether you come here to do science, engineering, management, history, languages, whatever. Everybody goes through this program. And this program, actually, we look at 6 different domains. Now, 2 of those domains are in areas where we think they should know about these things because it is going to change, it's changing the way we live. So one is materials, and the second one is biology and health and disease. And our job became a lot easier after COVID because before, when we started this in 2019, one of the questions that we would get is, I come here to study business, why should I need to know anything about disease or viruses? After COVID, people understood that there was not a single business that was not affected by the virus. And so what we try to impress upon students is that you need to know about the world around you. You need to be curious about the world around you. And science is not something which is esoteric, which you will not understand. Okay, when I teach them about water, and we talk about waterborne diseases, and everybody knows malaria, everybody knows dengue. And then I show them the life cycle of a malaria parasite. And I say, you don't need to know what this life cycle will detail. What you need to know is it requires a human and it requires a mosquito. And if you have to eliminate malaria, either you eliminate the human or you eliminate the mosquito. Since we don't want to eliminate humans, we have to eliminate mosquitoes. So this is one way in which we are really preparing our students to kind of become science journalists of the future. Because, in fact, yesterday in my class, so after I was here in the morning, and I heard Shashi talk about the difference between science communication and science journalism, I taught a class in the afternoon, and I was telling these students who are in their 4th year or 5th year, because we have an integrated master's program, that for those of you who like to communicate, and for those of you who like to write, this is something that you should be looking at. And in fact, I said, there is a conference here, just go to the booths, visit, if you're interested in science journalism. So that brings me to my last point, and that is a wish list from me as a researcher and from, I guess, a community of researchers to the science journalists and the science communicators that are there. And I'll start with the experience that I had. Nothing to do against science journalism, but this was an experience that, in fact, I must say my first inspirational science communicator was Professor Yashpal. I don't know, many of you are not of a generation who would have seen or heard him. He used to do this wonderful series on Buddha, which I watched growing up as a kid, explaining physics, and I learned all my optics. Okay, thanks to Professor Yashpal. And I still remember that. And my inspiration as a science journalist was somebody I read very extensively, Dr. G.P. Fonke, or Bar Fonke, as we call him, who used to write in the Times of India. And what I kind of got from both of these was that they understood the science really, really well, and then they kind of were able to communicate. And so this was the first wish list or ask that I had. So I'll tell you an experience that happened with me. I was in Lucknow, I was talking at a cancer conference, and after my talk, a science journalist came up to me and said, I really like your talk, but I didn't understand most of it. So I said, no problem, if you want to understand, I'll sit with you. I sat with this journalist, explained to him in Hindi what I was talking about for half an hour. I shall not name the newspaper, but next day he came and said, your article is there on the front page of the newspaper. Have you read it? I said, unfortunately, no, because I don't have access to this newspaper. He said, okay, hold on, I'll show you. Puts up his phone, shows me the article. I only could read the title. I had no guts to go beyond the title. Okay, the reason for that was I had spoken about microRNA, which we published before I even came back to India. And this was called microRNA 138, and it was in cancer. And the headline, in that the next day was, Mir 38 hai cancer ke liye ghatak. So 138 became 38. It's a different microRNA. We're no longer talking about the same RNA molecule. And so this is often a challenge that we face. And I believe the way to actually address this is from as a community and from us as a community. Because again, as Shashi said yesterday, we are often not very good at telling what we do. We're good at doing what we do, but it's not always that we can communicate effectively. And so we definitely want to work with you as a community. As was mentioned yesterday, Ahmedabad University is very open to this. We have a wonderful communications team. Visual has been around. And we really look forward to your support in trying to disseminate some of the experiments that we're doing, not only in the science and the research and the engineering, but also in the pedagogy, in education itself, where we're trying to change the way we train young minds so that they're ready for the challenges of tomorrow, which is to really understand more and more complex science and communicate it to the public that is funding our research. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call up on stage Shailendra Pal. He's a Senior General Manager of Bhashini. And yes, over this.
Hello everyone. When people talk about artificial intelligence, they imagine robot speaks in British accent or American accent. With Bhashini, is this? Okay. So at Bhashini, we decided that okay, let's these robots speak in Indian accent, not only Hindi or Marathi or something, but then 22 languages of India. So India speak in Indian language. That's the overall idea. Because science is universal and communication should be multilingual, specifically when it comes to Bhashini. It's Bhasha Interface for India, implemented by Digital India Bhashini Division, which is a division, independent business division under Digital India Corporation, which is a Section 8 company of Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India. Bhashini as a mission, it was launched in 2021. It was introduced in 2021 by a former Honorable Finance Minister of India, and then it was launched by Prime Minister of India in 2022. And 2023 it started productionizing it, and then we have a platform already available since 2023. We have followed voice first approach to an advance Indian language technology for digital inclusion and innovation. So a lot of people, they are not able to write or read. So we have followed voice first approach so that they can interact with the system, bridge digital literacy and language divide, because since they are not able to read and write, they are still able to get the things done. We are preserving language, so it's not only 22 scheduled languages of India. We have gone ahead. We are supporting 35 languages, Indian languages. Maybe we have another option. Next time we collaborate, it's not only 13 languages, we can expand to 36 languages. We collaborated with 70 plus institutes of India, primarily IIT, NIT and triple ITs. And we've had a problem statement that computer, an Indian should be able to, speak in all the languages, primarily 22 scheduled languages of India. Computer should be able to understand what we speak. Computer should be able to translate one language to another language. Should be able to speak out for you, and computer should also be able to, let's say there is an image, should be able to capture the text out of it, so OCR, and NER, named entity recognition. These are the 5 foundation main problem that we wanted to address, and we addressed it. Named entity recognition meaning, Harilal cannot be diamond red. We have to have a specific, names, nouns all preserved. Akansha Nigam cannot be aspirational corporation. So we have to make sure that everything is in place. So we have these models available, all open source, democratized it, 359 plus models available. You can fine tune, everything is all CCY by 4. And we have model adaptation and value added services also. Community development is what we do as part of our Samudai, and we have outreach initiatives also through hackathon and GICs, and we do develop solutions. With Bhashini, we have engaged with multiple ministries, of course, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, PM Kisan chatbot already using language, 22 languages. Ministry of Panchayati Raj. E-Gram Swaraj portal is a portal wherein all the schemes related to Panchayati Raj, etc. are only available in Hindi and English. Imagine rural India is Hindi and English, so we have expanded it to all 22 languages. We're working with Niti Aayog. CP Grams is a portal through which any citizen can simply go there, just speak the query, and then it'll submit the grievance. So far, since the platform has launched, we have received 4 billion inferences. 4 billion inferences meaning 4 billion times the system had got hit. Bhashini's motive or objective is to break the language barrier that exists in a country. With 4 billion inferences is the number, but then for us 4 billion are the moment where we did not find language as a barrier. So that's something we really proud of. Panchayat to Parliament, there are panchayats who are running the panchayat, and then every minutes of meeting is being recorded. I'm just showcasing this is the tool where I'm speaking in English. It is translating it live, real time in the language of your choice. I've kept Hindi, but it can be any other languages of India. Panchayats are doing all this thing today, and minutes of meeting, by the time the meeting is finished, you have the ability to capture everything and there is no miss out and etc. because technology is there to help you out. We have Lok Sabha Pehchan app, wherein government of Rajasthan using this particular app, specifically nurses who are using a voice as an approach where they are able to fulfill the form overall. So the time they used to take in order to issue the birth certificate 30 days, now they are able to do it in 1 week's time or 2 weeks time. So there is a lot of productivity gain, and turnaround time has really literally improved. Every Aadhaar update, be it registration of an individual or child enrollment, or any update that you do through mobile app, M-Aadhaar portal or M-Aadhaar application, Bhashini is behind. It's making sure that whatever address you are typing, you're getting your Aadhaar issued in your native language. So we have 5 basic problems that we address. They're models, but then there are other services also, because when you go out at the real world scenario, it's not these 5 problems will catch you, but there are other problems also, because when you are speaking, there would be background noise. Someone will say that, hey, what are you doing, etc. You really do not want your translation engine to give you, a garbage in or garbage out. We have the filters. We are making sure that the system is safe. Profanity filters are there for you, so all the cuss words are not there. 5 trillion characters is what we process. That means that, if 10 million people start speaking for 24 hours continuously, that kind of token that we generate is what we process on daily basis. So that's the inferencing that we've got. Again, I said 70 plus institutes. We have formed and then 1.5 million glossaries is what we have created. These are the different services. You can go to bhashini.gov.in. So they are value-added services as well as talked about. This is the platform where we have 359 plus models. We are giving lightning fast performant platform 2200 ms. Auto healing 14 million per day is the inferences that we got. We have multiple tools using these services. Anuvad is public facing. You can do translation and whatever services I talked about, you can experience yourself. Chitranuvad video translation, Lekhanuvad document, website translation, Bhashini mobile application already with 1.5 million downloads already there. Speech to speech, audiobook and Abhilek, the live transcription, these are the things. Bhashini Utsav is what we celebrate because it's all about language motions, and then there is specific personality on your state. We've recently celebrated Bhagwan Birsa Munda's anniversary, and we celebrated his words of wisdom in all 22 languages of India. So not only a specific part of the country talks about it or understand about it, but the entire country is now able to understand in their native language. So We are 26 lakh police officials using this system. Goa police specifically, when interact with tourism, they are using this system. PM Kisan I talked about. In education, Diksha portal, which is reading your story or your documentation, everything in your language. RBIH, NPCI, with feature phone, not smartphone, you are able to transfer money via API. Government officials are using e-office, so you are paperless, everything on voice-based. 11 crore gig workers, Jan Manrega employees, Jan Manrega workers, they are able to do the form filling, and contractors are able to communicate. Cultural tourism, Marathi Bhasha Vibhag, we are closely working with, and healthcare like Meri Pehchan app I've talked about. Just quickly, last 2 slides. When we talk about language, we always talk about, okay, this translation is not appropriate or that translation is not appropriate. Just want to give you some stats. When it comes to English, when it comes to specifically voice, the data available overall in open source is available like 560,000 hours. However, when it comes to Hindi, it's just 20 to 27,000 hours. And with these data, you're building AI models, specifically translation. So there is a huge gap, right? And we expect that, okay, with English, I'm getting everything good, but then Indian language is, not getting a right translation. Imagine if you're not talking about Hindi, Malayalam is just 2,500. So there's a data scenario available, and hence you get a little thing. Similarly, with the data, it comes to text. So 900,000 GB is available over the internet. When it comes to Hindi, it's 2,000 GB, and with Malayalam, it's 303 GB. So there's a huge difference, and in order to break this particular thing, we have something called Bhashadan. It's a crowdsourcing platform through which you can help us building the data sets. You can help us, making sure that, you're, eventually helping us to building more AI models, speak for India, made in India. So with that, I just take a pause, or if there are any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Shailendra. Next, I'd like to call on stage Devyani. She is the Asia Pacific Communications Officer for #BreakFreeFromPlastic.
Thank you so much. The utter joy of speaking to a near empty hall where most people have disappeared. But thank you so much for hanging on and waiting for this last talk. So we're here talking about solutions journalism, and a question I got asked a lot when I was interacting with people at breaks or at my little table there was, what is Break Free from Plastic doing at a journalism conference? So think about this. In our quest for solutions, for the hope-based communication that we really want to do, are we chasing false solutions? This little cartoon was done courtesy of a graphic designer we work with, and a lot of the solutions that we look at, a lot of the solutions that the global north countries have looked at has been like this, of set it and forget it. Except it lines up in our geographies to deal with. Take a look at these words. They appear a lot bigger now on this screen. They were tiny on my screen yesterday. I'm sure when you've seen plastic pollution coverage, you've seen or perhaps reported on one or more of these words. They sound great on paper. They sound great in principle. We all want this change because we're seeing the impact of plastic pollution around us. But are these solutions what they promise to be. And in a sense, there is no circularity to the plastic pollution crisis. There is no circularity to the climate crisis either. And one of the things that we do is work across the life cycle of plastic pollution, right from production to points of sale and consumerism, to the waste industry, and finally the disposal, a lot of times which ends up just being dumping and burning. And we are touted with this term, circular economy. You cannot go back up that chain to extraction. So at no point in time can your solutions be truly circular. And that's why I'm here, to bring back or to urge you to consider the science in plastic pollution stories. Again, a lot of buzzwords. These are all of the different sciences that you can bring to your storytelling, from health to economics to social sciences, science and technology, ecology, policy. And connecting the dots between all of this, having a mix and match, is what's going to make your science story stand out more. And in a way, that's where we can help out. Brings me back to what is Break Free from Plastic. And ultimately, we're a movement. We're not an organization. We're a movement that works with 13,000 organizations globally. Imagine the number of stories. And we're working on a bunch of issues from systems change. We're looking at the issue of plastic pollution across its life cycle, like I showed you before. And finally, we're focusing on prevention rather than cure, because we need to start targeting the actual cause and not just the symptoms of it. So what do we have on offer here for you at the SJAI? Is that Break Free from Plastic networks with over 44 core organizations in India and over 101 associate organizations. Beyond that, we have other organizations across South Asia, Asia Pacific, and global networks. So if you want to expand your story, if you want to connect the local to the global, global to the local, you can reach out to us, because our organizations cover everything from researchers to scientists, policy experts, legal eagles, health experts, waste pickers, waste management experts, youth voices, and affected communities. And if you want a mix, a lot of the conversations that have happened in the other sessions has been about how do we bring diversity to our reporting. And if some of you have picked up some of the resources outside, you'll see that this is what we're keen on. We're keen on bringing this diversity of voices to your storytelling, and that's why I'm here. You know this better than me, but you know exactly why source diversity is so important. It's going to give you a new perspective on something that you may be a little fixed about, stereotyped about. Our audiences too may have built certain biases and stereotypes, and we are eager to change that. Diverse sources can help us build trust. We've been speaking about trust and truth, and in a way, that is also something that we can offer. And lastly, I think that's covered. Thanks. So what do we offer? We offer a variety of resources for media people. Outreach is a major component of the work that I do and that we do as an organization. So if you've popped around to my stall, or you're welcome to scan the QR code, which I think I'm blocking for now. We've developed this greenwashing guide. It's just a ready checklist of things that you might want to consider when you're doing your reporting. This could apply for climate, could apply for health, could apply for plastic pollution, but at any point in time when government seems to be touting certain solutions or industry is touting solutions, are they really scalable? Are they sustainable? Are they going to work? Who are they affecting? And are we just kicking the bucket further down the road for somebody else to deal with? So this guide gives you all of that. But beyond that, we have talking points, press releases, policy briefs, panel discussions, policy summaries. Jacob Koshi is not here, but I know he was a part of this. And our interaction happened because we were doing summaries of the Global Plastics Treaty in 13 different languages. Hindi and Bangla were covered for India, but if at any point in time you feel there's enough audience, we're happy to translate into more languages. We're also looking at media roundtables that we've been doing in the run-up to certain policy events. So before each of the global plastic treaty negotiations, we've had media roundtables. We also do other trainings. I've had a couple of people come here who were part of our investigative training last year. And if there's a need for training that I may not have thought about, and you feel it's something that a community of you would love to do, we'd be happy to support on that. It will need to be embedded in plastic pollution, but you know, your toolbox can be used across any kind of reporting. And finally, we do offer a few story grants. We know that the investigations take time, energy, money. You will always have your journalistic independence and you can maintain your integrity. We really just want these stories to be told in different voices about different communities. And lastly, we have an Asia Pacific spokespersons list. This is a list we'll continue building on. These are voices that can give you the list I've given you before: researchers, policy experts, youth voices, all of them you can find here and more. And if you need anything else in this sphere, all things plastic pollution, we would love for Break Free from Plastic to be your one-stop shop. And you can reach out to me as South Asia Communications Officer. And if there are organizations you would like to connect with outside of South Asia, we can also put you in touch with that. But it's been an absolute pleasure and honor to be here and learn from you how better we can serve the journalist community. I never want to be the kind who blasts you with press releases and the stories don't really get covered. I was here to learn how we can tell those stories better together. And thank you so much for the time and the energy.
Thank you, Devyani. Devyani, if that was a very grounded talk, you should go check out a very good newsletter she does about geology, where she's even more very well grounded. Okay, cool. And finally, one of our collaborators, I would like to call on stage Mrunal. Hi Mrunal, make your way on stage, and she's coming to us as a science communicator at NCBS, and she's been talking on behalf of the NCBS. And if you've seen her going around with the phone, she's been very active in making sure this is all on social media.
Thank you. My name is Mrunal, and I will be sharing remarks on behalf of Shashi, who's the director of NCBS. So I'll just get started with that. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here among so many people. So he was in the inaugural panel yesterday. It is a pleasure to be here among so many people who care deeply about how science is told, shared, and understood. Science journalists play a vital role in shaping how society perceives science, not just through accuracy, but through empathy, context, and curiosity. We at NCBS believe that regular engagement between practicing scientists and journalists is key to strengthening this relationship. When scientists and journalists meet to ask questions, to debate, to see each other's worlds, both sides gain. Journalists gain a deeper understanding of how research unfolds, with all its uncertainties, setbacks, and small victories. Scientists, in turn, come to understand the craft, challenges, and responsibilities that come with communicating through the media. This exchange builds trust, nuance, and ultimately better public understanding of science. NCBS sees itself as a space where such meaningful connections can take root and thrive. We have a strong and evolving research communications and outreach programs that sees communication not as an afterthought, but as an essential part of our scientific practice. Our efforts go well beyond traditional outreach. We engage regularly with a wide range of creatives and organizations, artists, writers, filmmakers, designers, and educators, all working together to find more imaginative and meaningful ways to bring research at NCBS out to the world. Through exhibitions, public lectures, open days, lab visits, and collaborative storytelling projects, we try to make our science accessible, engaging, and relevant to diverse audiences. We would like to extend these efforts further by opening more opportunities for dialogue and collaborations with journalists through workshops, informal conversations, and perhaps even short-term residencies. We see NCBS as a space where scientists and storytellers can meet, learn from one another, and co-create new ways of communicating science to the public. We are always open to such conversations, and we truly hope that going forward, we'll be able to engage more closely with journalists to exchange ideas, share stories, and strengthen the bridge between research and public understanding. Because ultimately, both science and journalism serve the same purpose: to ask questions, to find answers, and to share it with the world. Thank you.